So I just got a message from my friend Aaron at Sky Music, and he just sent me one photo that said it all. I'm in trouble. Welcome back, folks. My name's Shane. So today's video is something a little bit different. We're heading down to the guitar shop because something's come in I've had my eye on now for quite some time. So I always preach about thinking a little bit more long-term when it comes to guitars. If you're serious about playing, or at least if you don't plan on ever quitting, it's always worth investing a little bit more money into a guitar that's justified to wherever you're at musically and what you can afford. So one good example of this, a lot of people will go out and they'll buy like a Squier Bullet guitar, for example, and then they might buy a Squier Classic Vibe, but what they might actually aspire to get is an American Standard Strat, or they might get a couple of Epiphones before they buy an actual Gibson. So they've spent more money before getting the guitar that they actually really wanted. And I'm guilty of this as well, but over the last few years I've really started thinking more about long-term guitars and the guitars that will stand the test of time. I don't plan on ever buying a guitar anymore that won't be a keeper. And it's something that I've had enough experience with lately to know that if I buy this guitar, it'll be around for the long haul, because I've played so many different lefties, and this is one that I've had my eye on for quite some time, and it's stuck in my mind as maybe the best left-handed Strat I've ever played. Now, are there better guitars than this one out there? Most probably, but can I justify spending twice the amount of money for that law of diminishing returns where you might get a 2% increase in whatever? Absolutely not. So for me, I have to justify, and for you too, this is the whole process. You've got to justify what you're happy with spending versus how much of a guitar you're going to get and whether or not it's a long-term investment. Now, if I was in the shop and I played, say, another guitar that might be a custom shop and it was $4,500 as opposed to, say, $2,500 grand, then I would have to be so blown away by that $4,500 one that it would just wipe the floor with the one that I want to get. But that's not the case. The one that I want to get is just as good as any custom shop guitar I've ever played, and it's more up my alley for what I like in terms of, I guess, the things that mean the most to me when I look for a guitar. Now, I'm not overly heavy into specs, but what I don't like is little frets. That's usually a write-off for me. And I also like guitars with a fat neck. Now, a lot of people won't like those attributes, and that's fine, it's all personal taste, but for what I like and what I've played, there's not many guitars that, as a lefty, that will actually deliver all the things that I like, and I think I've found the right one. So you're coming on an adventure with me today, and we're going to see whether or not this is the guitar that stands the test of time. Now, I know a lot of people might be saying, hey, what about the Vola? Are you going to get rid of the Vola? Absolutely not, man. That guitar is one of the best Strat type guitars I've ever played, but it's different to a Fender Strat. It's different because it has a full-blown humbucker in the bridge, and it would be great just to have a Fender Strat as a long-term guitar as well. So I'm going to try this out today and hopefully see how it sounds. All right, here we are. We're back. Sky Music. So Dr. Rick actually bought a guitar from here the other day. He's one snuck under the radar. Oh man, it never ends. It never ends. again, so you can switch it. Alright, I'm just pulling away from Sky Music, and I gotta tell you, man, I'm pretty impressed with the tones I was pulling from the guitar. I always like to just try a few things anytime I buy a new guitar, try different types of bends, make sure the strings aren't falling off the fretboard or doing anything funny or getting any buzz. And I gotta tell you, it played great. I did have to ask one of the guys, Alex, to bring up the action slightly on the E string, which he did, and it just made the world of difference. So yeah, overall, I'm pretty impressed with the tones. I think even through the Tone Master Twin that was just sitting there with no pedals, it sounded great, and that's the best way to test a guitar. Well, it's one way to test a guitar. It's always great to hear what they can do clean, because once you start coloring them with effects pedals, you know, it's hard to spot the difference between guitars once you start adding a lot of gain. And I've done a video on that years ago. But basically the thing with it is, I'm happy with it. It's going to be a long-term Stratocaster, traditional Strat, 50s American Series one. So for those who are subscribed to the channel, you might know I already have another guitar in this exact same series, which is my Fender 50s original Tele. It's got a very fat neck, very reminiscent of this guitar in many ways. Single coil pickups, no bells and whistles other than a beautiful, beautiful neck. It's got that, well, it's almost got a flame maple neck, and it just feels great in the hand. It's got a big 50s neck as well. Probably the biggest neck out of all of my guitars. Now, I think this neck on the Strat is big, but it doesn't quite feel as large as that Telecaster. And I should be getting that back from the luthier pretty soon. I actually damaged it. There'll be a video coming up about that. For me, it's all about finding one that I can play long term and enjoy, and that sort of ticks those boxes in terms of longevity. And being that I've played so many different Strats over the years as a lefty, this one is by far my most favorite that I've ever played, and it's by far not the most expensive. There was a few other custom shop guitars in the store that were double the price, but they weren't twice as good. They weren't. I actually like this one better, even than the Fiesta Red one, which was a beautiful guitar. But for the things that I like in an axe, man, this guitar that's in the back seat, hopefully, yeah, it is. I didn't leave it on the top of the car or anything. It is just a really beautiful instrument for what I like. So this is going to be the Strat that I keep long term. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. My name's Shane. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next one. Catch you soon.